What's up, the internet? Joey told me that I was pressing the button, so I just faked him out and put myself up and not him. So there's Joey.
You saw me like do my thing here. I'm like,
what's up? The whole move, and I'm like, you're in the background. This is I Must Ask You a Question. I'm producer Kyle. That's Joey, who you probably know. And I'm filling in for Miss Jen, and Joey is filling in for Joey. And we have Michael, who is the third wheel of this tricycle.
Last time my buttons were pressed, I got diabetes.
Hey! Michael.
Cheers. Cheers.
Le Croix, darling. Le Croix.
Here, do you want to bump insulin pumps?
Whoa, type 1?
Yeah.
Damn right.
I'm a little. My blood sugar's a little high right now.
Yeah, I
listen. I pull mine up, but it's yeah. You don't want to see that.
How I've been trying to get a sensor for a minute now, and I've jumped between so many different health insurances. Those things are not cheap. They are not cheap.
Not at all.
What is it? Like, I think would get a sensor every 2 weeks or something. I don't know how it works.
I don't know I don't know the different ones. The ones I have are every week.
So so mine ended up being like $75 each sensor.
Oh Lord, I have no idea.
Wow.
And I paid $8,000 for the pump and the sensors, and that covered my entire max out of pocket. So I have no idea what anything costs.
I mean, at this point, I'm just going to continue stabbing myself in the stomach and hoping I don't die. I mean, hey,
it's worked for millennia.
Yeah. So how's the day treating you guys? You enjoying stuffs?
It's awesome, man. I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. I've been absent for a few weeks, but it's been crazy, man. We've been moving like crazy. We're finally into the new place. It's a prison. If you guys didn't see from the background, that's where I'm living now. No. But yeah, we're doing good. How are you guys? I haven't seen you guys in a minute.
I'm good. This is so Wednesday is my day off, which means I only work 7 or 8 hours instead of 14 or 18. Like, it's my, I'm going to watch television while I work today kind of day off. So, it's always fun to come and hang out with you guys on Wednesdays because it gives me a reason to get out of bed. Which is nice.
Yeah. I think that happens for all of us there.
Which is super nice. And so I'm having a good day. Like, it's not stiflingly hot here in the Midwest.
Oh man. So what's the weather out there like right now?
It's like 82, but there's only 70% humidity.
Wow.
Which means it only feels like 90 or 100, as opposed to last week when it was 90 and 100% humidity. And it felt like you were swimming through hot maple syrup.
I can't do that. I can't. So one thing about New York is that it can get humid here, like satanically humid. And I went to Nevada maybe 8 years ago. I fell in love with that weather. The driest weather I have ever felt. I got cuts climbing Red Rock, and those cuts didn't start bleeding till I got back to the hotel. That's magic. All right, that's some type of Santeria bullcrap. Whereas I was just like, man, I feel like I should be in a lot of pain. Open up the door.
I'll never forget I must have been 7 or 8 the first time I was ever in Manhattan, and I go to get on the train, and you go down to the subway station, and it's like a different level of hell. Like, it's hot and humid, on the street. And then you go down there and you're like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever felt in my life.
It's like you walked into a deep breath. It's exactly what you imagine being
and it smells like that too, but
it's just like undercurrent of spit, dog, and homelessness.
Oh,
that's what we call home, baby.
I know. And you know what's funny? Now I kind of miss it. Like, I lived there for a while and got used to it. And like, we get in the subway last year at New York Comic Con, and I go, oh, this feels like home. Like, this is,
now there's this weird divide between subway stations that have been updated to be, human capable, and then like old, dingy, like there's bedrock somehow above sea level. And you're just like, wait a minute, this is hell, right? That's what I paid for. And they're just like, no, welcome to 191st.
No, it's true. I that's the other thing. Like I got on the train in Chicago a couple weeks ago, and like nobody accosted me trying to sell me a print of I Heart New York or of the Statue of Liberty or something. I'm like, this isn't right. This is not how subway travel should be. This is wrong. This is wrong.
And then of course showtime, and people just fucking
right.
People just dancing.
Right.
That's awesome.
It's the worst.
See,
but
out here, we just get, what we call lurpers and really, really extreme heat. Like,
well, you also have bugs that will kill you.
Heat. Oh. Yes, we have lots of bugs. Listen, out here in Arizona, everything is grown and bred to kill you. Like, even the plants have spikes on them to kill you. Like,
Arizona is the Australia of America.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this week is actually kind of cool because, like last night, I went outside after dark. Like in the summer, listen, you guys got to know, in the summer in Arizona, it does not cool off under 100 degrees in the heat of the summer, like ever. And it was actually pretty cool outside. I said, whoa, there's a nice wind going. Like, it's cooled off. I like this. I like this weather. It's nice.
I'm good.
Well, in terms of what I can bring to this particular podcast, I can only ever talk about anime, manga, and general movies that have come out.
Have you seen Lightyear?
Say again?
Have you seen Lightyear?
I have not seen Lightyear yet. I do want to watch it. I don't know if I want to pay to watch it, and that might be a long wait.
I'm going tomorrow. Like,
let us know how that goes.
Yeah, I have a standing Thursday night. We either go to Dave and Buster's or go to the movies, and so I'm going to the movies.
Gotcha.
Sweet.
Dave and Buster's.
I'm excited for that.
Doctor Strange too.
I'm gonna watch it immediately after we get off of here. I'm gonna I have a pile of work to do for all kinds of clients, right? But I'm gonna put it all off just to watch Multiverse of Madness, because I'm one of those people who waited for a long time for it to come out on Disney and still has not seen any spoilers. So I gotta watch it.
I'm not gonna spoil anything for you.
Yeah, I went and saw it in theaters as well.
I will say to whoever watched it and complained, how I don't understand how people would watch it and say, like, why is Wanda doing all of this? Did you not watch WandaVision?
And do you not know who Wanda is in the comic books?
Yeah, like nothing that's happening here should be coming as a surprise to anybody.
Right? Actually, her character in the first few movies were actually out of character for her, right?
She was oddly stable.
Right.
Yeah.
I said it on the air. I said after the movie that movie really should have been called Scarlet Witch and the Evil Dead. Like,
it was a Scarlet Witch movie.
I would have bought T-shirts if they'd have called it that. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. No, but if they'd have called it that, I'd have bought T-shirts and I'd have been in.
Why not just call it Scarlet Witch and the Multiverse of Madness?
Sure.
Why? It was great that Doctor Strange was there, but it was Wanda's show from beginning. It was WandaVision season 2, the special Christmas edition.
Yeah,
the special guest Cumberbatch.
Well, and it's I don't want to spoil it, but I have a specific thought about Doctor Strange in that movie that I'm worried would spoil it for Joey. Yeah. But
do you want me to plug my ears?
Yeah, plug your ears. In that movie,
oh, you guys.
I know. Honestly, I feel like that is Doctor Strange's version of Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, it kind of really is, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not to say that he wasn't satisfying in the movie. He did all the cool stuff. There were a lot of cool pieces to his story, but you were there once the Wanda machines got rolling. You could crack your knuckles.
Yeah.
back.
Right. He's just there. So he's just there for the funness of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, there you go.
So.
Oh, spoiling. Somebody said.
I don't know who that person is. If that person would go to
Facebook
facebook.com/StreamYard and hit the big blue button, we'd know what your name is.
Sorry if we spoiled things for you.
I'm sorry. The movie Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness does indeed star Doctor Strange.
Correct.
And does involve the multiverse.
And other characters, therefore, within.
Anyone here an anime head?
A little bit.
No, you are our resident anime person.
Well, to whoever is out there who enjoys anime, My Hero Academia's 6th season trailer dropped yesterday. It looks action-packed. If you've been following along with the manga, it is beautiful. It looks like it's animated with a much higher budget than the other seasons. And if they do this season right, it could rival Attack on Titan's animation of the last couple seasons. It's going to be intense. Couple anime recommendations on my end. If you guys can watch, it should be on Crunchyroll and all the different places. But it's called I'm Quitting Heroing. It's a 12-episode show. It just finished, I think, yesterday. It's about, the typical hero in an ancient land. He's destined to defeat like demons or whatnot. And he's been doing it for a while. And he just says, you know what? No. He sees how poorly the demon army is being run. And he tries to be recruited by them. And he tries to train them up. And he says, I have been seeing how lackluster you guys can't defeat me. You can try. He defeats every single one of their generals, and he says, I'm going to fix every single one of your bureaucratic problems. And that's the story. It's amazing. Let's see. Beautiful animation. And this LaShawn Calvin, I don't know why my name isn't showing. Oh, hey, LaShawn.
Yeah, LaShawn, if you go to that StreamYard.com/Facebook link, click the big blue button. Should fix it.
LaShawn, they are a huge fan of everything that Scout does and everything that we do. So thanks, LaShawn, for watching. We appreciate you. And all the cool posts that you post out. I appreciate that so much.
There was a manga this week that I was excited about that I picked up. That for the life of me, because I'm not holding it in my hand, the name escapes me.
What's it about?
It's the soccer one. Blue.
Oh yes, where everyone has like a very specific ability or a magic.
Yeah,
I heard of that one.
Blue Lock.
Blue Lock, yes. That I need to check that out because I saw the book trailer for it. It looks amazing. They're doing an anime for it, right?
Yeah, they're doing it. The anime is already out other places, just not here.
So the internet is your friend in that respect.
Right. So I'm excited to read that one, and then there's a book that I got put onto after Volume 1 came out, Alice in Borderland, that's out this week too, from Viz. That's another manga that I'm excited about.
Is that based off of the Borderland games?
No, it's based off of Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, got it. Because there is a character called Alice in Borderlands.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. No, I'm
not losing my mind.
No, it's one of those legally different, legally not the same, but very close.
Like we're gonna name Alex, but with a CX.
Right. Right. Alex with a CKS. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another manga that I think everyone should really be checking out is called Super Smartphone. It's only 7 chapters in. If you go to Shonen Jump, they have that book out. It is, as you'd imagine, a very, very hyper intelligent version of Google in some dude's smartphone. And it has it's like Death Note in the sense that it has a very particular set of rules that it can follow. You collect points by using the phone, by asking it certain things. It can look up everything that's electronically based. It can't manipulate stuff, but it can tell you everything that's connected to the internet or is a machine or has a label on it or anything that has data to it. And he realizes that there are other super smartphone holders in the world. And so some of them have niceness in their heart, and other ones really don't. And so the cat and mouse game, a la Light and L, really starts to bubble up once they try to involve the police, and it's a really fun show, and I think everyone should really check this one out. I think this will be
That sounds really cool,
I was going
actually.
to say, if I text my enemies, will they die?
No, they won't die. So one of the rules is that you can't, like, if you try to ask the Google that's in it, hey, what's the name of this person? You'll get a 404 code. And if you ask them where they are, you'll get a 405 code. So you could actually see whether or not, by asking it certain people's names, whether or not they have a super smartphone, because let's say they won't show up on any listing. Or let's say you know this person exists because they're standing in front of you, but if you look them up and if they're not showing up, as even their clothing's not showing up, you know that they have a super smartphone because it's removed all data about them off of the face of the earth.
Right, but as JD
Wow.
Smith asks, does it still correct that word with duck?
It actually turns it into muffin.
Even better.
Like a real muffin? I'm
A
hungry
good
now.
place. This is so fucking weird, right?
Well, I got something cool in the mail the other day. You guys want to see
Alright.
it?
I'm scared, but sure.
But
Is it a
no,
glitter bomb?
don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Ooh, that is very nice.
Yeah, look at that thing. And then it came with this. It came with this really cool variant cover of the same
That is excellent.
global package book. But yes, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. This thing, I don't know if you guys know what this is. This is the Phantom Star Killer Cosmic Ghoul Warrior figure.
Great
but
book.
This great book. This started with Killer Bootlegs, and this is one of the ones that they just dropped. Or it's been in 2021 it dropped. But I got this on Whatnot. I was very excited because I saw this. I've been wanting one for a while, and it's like I just got paid, and I was like, click, I'm gonna buy that. And I was relentless. I was not letting people, I was not gonna let this thing go.
Just want to shout out a few people. JD Smith, what's up? Jackson, how you doing? Paulo, what's up? From Brazil.
From Brazil, Paulo, how's it going?
What? Oh, your profile picture is really good. Cool, Paulo. Are you an artist?
Artist? Oh wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Jackson Smith is in the house. Awesome. Thank you guys for it. And then another thing that just happened from Scout is Midnight Western Theater just got picked up, just got optioned. I don't know if you saw this one from Southard, Han, Cody, and I don't want to.
I have a question for the Scout heads. I have a question for
Sure.
Scout heads. What took so long?
Right? This was so good. This is one of those books that everybody was talking about. This would be such a good TV show or a movie, very similar to, this is, I just think, kind of like West, I don't know.
Right. No, you read that book, and I will say that, unlike quite a lot of books that I see getting optioned these days, you read that book and you're like, oh, okay. Well, this is what the shots look like. This is how the show looks. This is who the actors are. Like, just page one, you're like, oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm like. What took so long? Some of the other stuff, like, you got to kind of figure it out, right? And massage it into something that's developable.
Mm-hmm.
As a producer, I see that all the time. People send me stuff. I'm like, let's take a pass at trying to write a script for it, and then we'll see what we can do. Whereas Midnight Western Theater, it feels like came out fully formed.
So
yeah, they did so good.
When I'm looking at a story, or I'm helping develop something for someone else, I'm not necessarily looking to turn their story into a TV show or into a movie or whatnot. Obviously, anyone that's creating a comic book this day and age I would say that the idea does go through their head, but I cannot stress enough that you need to have the flair for vision for each panel. I should feel movement. I should feel the momentum. If I don't feel the hit of every punch on every panel, and of course, anyone can go in there and draw someone doing a right hook or straight or something, but I want to feel the emotional impact. I want to see it on the person's face. You got to think about every single, how the weight of the body, the stress of it all. That's what gets folks hyped. That's what leads to people saying, oh, this is something I should pick up, because they're emotionally invested, not just in the words. The story can be great, but if they don't care about the character that they're watching, which, you know, kind of feeds into the whole TV movie, like, it should feel like you're watching a TV show. It should. I should forget that there is a piece of paper in front of me. That's when you're in the zone. And we've all hit there. We've all been there, reading books, reading comic books. In general, you're just like, oh, wow, it's 3 days. I have a nosebleed and I lost my children. But this book was amazing. That's what you're striving for.
There we go. yeah, I agree. It's this book is amazing, and but the one thing is, this issue 1 is already sold out everywhere. So the only way you can get it is, you know, eBay, resellers, all that crazy stuff. Like, I want to ask you guys, do you guys do the whole speculator market thing?
Nope.
Do you guys, like, when stuff like this happens, do you guys like swoop up all the books and like just hope that it's
I'm not
something?
very smart. I would be called quite dumb. So I do not know how to finesse anything like that. But I see other people do it, and some have success, others really don't. So I can't exactly tell anyone or give anyone advice about that. But I've seen people ruin their lives for less.
I in fact actively avoid it.
Oh, do you?
Really?
Yeah. So when I find out that something is in development,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you froze. It
I don't
would've been
read it.
riveting.
Did he freeze?
I
Oh,
people are calling me in the middle of the show. People are calling me in the middle of the show.
That's fun.
When I find out something's in development, I purposefully then don't read it.
Okay.
I
Why
don't
is
buy
that?
it. I don't read it, because be the comic book or be nothing. So it's one of my problems with Marvel movies, right? I've spent my entire life reading Marvel comics. So I go in and I get angry. Whereas when I see one of these indie comics,
I think the comic gods just got angry at you for saying all of
I
this
know.
stuff.
They did. They're
got
like instant
blasted.
karma.
Yeah.
They're
Am I
like
back?
instant karma. We're gonna get you.
You're back now. Try to say it again.
So when I find out something goes into development, I actively walk away from it.
You walk away from the book for good, or do you wait for it to be done, or what?
Until the movie or the show or whatever comes out, I actively walk away from it.
Why?
Because be the comic book or be nothing.
Explain that.
So I've spent my whole life reading Marvel comics, right?
Mhm.
So I know all of the stories that they're making Marvel movies about. So if you tell me you're going to make Civil War and then don't make Civil War, I'm angry because I know the story of Civil War. Right?
Okay.
So what I do, especially with the indie projects, is I walk away from the book so that I can go and enjoy the movie. Then I'll pick up a trade or I'll get the back issues after the movie or show or whatever drops and read it then. Like it's a way of me of avoiding expectations that will either not be met or will be confounded, or you know what I'm saying? Like it lets me just expect what I expect from the movie from what they tell me about the movie, and then I can enjoy the story later.
I would say I agree to a certain extent, because it's a very specific way of avoiding spoilers and tempering your expectations. Yes.
Right.
On the flip side, Marvel specifically has tried to circumvent that a little bit by explicitly stating that this is the MCU is another universe within.
Sure. And I understand that, but it still doesn't help me with my disappointment, right? Like it's totally personal. Right. Like this is my version of veganism. Like, you know, I just, when I find out, so Midnight Western Theater, I read it. I have every issue. I bought them when they came out. I hadn't read it yet. Well, now it'll just sit in the box of stuff to read until after whatever comes out. And then I'll read it and be like, oh, they did a really good job of adapting that story. Or, oh, that was a nice additional story.
But you got to remember,
who doesn't have that issue?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of manga doesn't have that issue because
I understand.
It's just not possible to translate them
Mhm.
to film. So it's just like you read the manga like One Piece. Like I'm not gonna say that Netflix is gonna do a poor job, but I'm just gonna look at their track record, and I'm just going to enjoy One Piece and the anime for what it is. Like so that's another thing, and of course this is what I enjoy, but manga specifically created on a lot of levels to be the anime. It is essentially the storyboard for the anime. So it's just a matter of direct translation. I don't know what happens in the Western market where they suddenly say, oh, not that I'm a manga expert, but one time I enjoyed the adaptation more than the source of the OG Ghost in the Shell movie. I will say,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You can't lie about that. That movie was baller.
That
But I
movie
would
was fire.
still say Ghost in the Shell standalone complex is a standalone complex season 1, 2, and the OVA movie, still the best version of Ghost in the Shell there is. Bar none, beats the movie. Because I feel like Ghost in the Shell is meant to be a long running format. It needs episodes, it needs time to breathe, but that's Ghost in the Shell standalone complex is great too. Thank you. Validation. Have you guys watched it all?
Oh yeah, I love Ghost in the Shell.
I have not seen that one though. Now, I will say this though, going back to what Kyle said, and thinking of it from like a creator standpoint, creators, don't want to just, develop and recreate or rewrite something that's already been done, right? So if you're going in and you're looking at something, like let's say Civil War, you're not going to want to go and write a movie exactly the way they wrote Civil War.
No,
then you're going to get people.
I'm looking for a direct recreation.
See, not me, because I think, if me thinking, if I want to write a Civil War, Marvel movie or a comic book, I, as a creator, am going to want to put my stamp in it and put my own take on it.
But then, Joey,
and it does, and at that point, I put it out in the world, and it's up to you guys whether you like it or not.
Yes, as a creator,
no, I don't have to because I'm the creator.
Give it a name.
I'm the one that has it in my head. It's my vision.
You're not the creator.
You're not the
That's
creator.
The problem.
You are.
I am the creator. That is, yes, that's what.
The script writer of the movie is not the creator of the comic book.
All I'm saying is whether I'm a script writer or a comic book writer, if I'm in the writing room, I'm gonna want to not copy somebody else's work.
100%. But then don't call it the name someone else has used.
But then I'm giving it to the
brand,
and I'm not gonna do that. If I have a vision in my head, I'm not gonna be like, well, guys, what do you think? Fans that hate me? No, I'm not.
No, they're gonna bring you in to write a Captain America movie. They're gonna bring you in to write an Iron Man movie disguised as a Captain America movie. Great. Okay, so you're gonna write your story that you want to tell.
Bringing me in, not the masses. That's the point I'm making.
But then why don't you call it whatever you want to call it, because you're a creator, and let what the creator of Civil War created call it Civil War.
Well, if I want to call it Civil War, then you just gave me my point. I can call it Civil War.
It's not.
If they tasked me with.
If they task you with adapting Civil War, it's a different thing than if they task you with coming in and writing a movie that is an Iron Man movie disguised as a Captain America movie that leaves out 13 volumes of Civil War trade paperbacks.
Like, I'll use Game of Thrones as a big example. How many seasons?
I will stand by what I say.
How many seasons stuck to the source material? And it did have slight deviations. Generally speaking, worked really well. It worked well as a political drama. And then the last season could not match the books because the books didn't exist. They went off the rails. They did their own thing. And suddenly, nobody enjoyed what happened. They're just like, this isn't what I read. This isn't what I wanted. Because this is not the story that I
creators, but I will say this: the creators still set out with a goal, and they still achieved that goal.
It's still. I would also say this is also a cultural difference in Japan. When you have a creator-owned work, that creator follows the work from inception all the way through production. He's in the writing room with you, and he's letting you know this is the wrong tone. This is how this has to. continue.
I
In the
agree.
United States, and I would say that we have a big problem. I would say it's actually a pretty big problem culturally with how we adapt works, and it doesn't work. Whenever we change the source material, yes, it gets a new audience, but then it leaves behind everybody that enjoyed the original work.
So there are three great examples of that type of work happening in the U.S. The Walking Dead, which Robert Kirkman was the showrunner on The Walking Dead. Like, he was assistant showrunner, whatever his title was. So as the creator of the original story, he can say to the guys who are adapting his work into a show, hey, you've kind of missed this point, or hey, this is the thing that you should think about, and kind of mold, right? Not recreate, but mold. Conversely, you have American Gods. So Neil Gaiman was involved with season 1. He wasn't involved after that. Season 1 was great. The rest of it sucked.
Yeah.
And now we have Sandman. Again, it's a Neil Gaiman property, but I think this is something that he probably works really hard on as I start. But Neil Gaiman is doing Sandman. He's in the writer's room with the guy who's writing Sandman. So changes that are being made, he is assisting in making.
Yes.
Which is a very different thing to, I'm going to hire Joe scriptwriter and say, we're going to do a Marvel movie and this is what we want. And, oh, by the way, we're going to call it Civil War, but don't worry about any of the Civil War stuff. Just write what you're going to write.
Yeah,
we're going to throw a name on it. Just so the fanboys will be like, oh, I'm going to go see Civil War, and then you're going to make them angry.
My thing is,
let me stir the pot a bit. What's the chance that marketing decided to use Civil War tag because the hero's divided aspect was similar to a best-selling storyline?
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's probably high chances.
That's exactly what it is. But my thing is I'm still gonna have. Listen, if you give me creative control, I'm gonna use creative control. And from a writing standpoint, if you whatever parameters you give me. And I'm going to use my creative control. And if I want to call it Civil War, then that's my prerogative.
But it's the responsibility of the IP holder. It's the responsibility of the IP holder to recognize what you've done. You've written something that you've called Civil War. Great. Instead of calling it Captain America Civil War, which is a volume of Civil War, call it Marvel Cinematics Civil War.
A story within.
Right. Yeah, that
doesn't really work though as a title, right? So,
I mean, granted,
like on a marquee, because that's not going to work on a marquee.
I would say that the issue is that in my perfect world, Joe scriptwriter would never be asked, hey, like essentially we're asking, don't give us the cash grab, don't give us like a person saying, hey, give us your own spin. I agree more with the culture of bringing the original content creator along for the ride from the very beginning.
Listen, I'm all about that too. No way am I saying that, let's erase the original creators. Let's erase them. Not one bit, right? We need to obviously elevate what they wanted and continue to grow their vision, right? And add to it. And I don't want you guys to think that, I'm going off of some weird tangent. Say, no, it's my thing, and whatever it is, I'm gonna throw that out. It's if I've been tasked to use my creative control, and I am thinking of the source material and the creators and bringing everybody into it, what's so wrong with having a little bit of creative freedom?
I would say it's not your creative freedom to have. Even if you were tasked to do it, I don't think it's your creative freedom to have. Even if
the original creator's in the room and all that stuff,
if the original creator's in the room, then they're the one making the decision.
Right. Then you're collaborating.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is.
But what happens at Sony and what happens at Disney is there's no collaboration.
All I'm going to say is I'm not going to be one of those fanboys out there that's going to be like, you didn't make my Marvel movie the way it was in my head canon. Like, it's not.
I'll give you a perfect example of how this actually happens in the real world. Fabrice Sapolsky, who created Spider-Man Noir.
Spider-Man Noir, yeah.
Gets invited by Marvel to the debut of Into the Spider-Verse, which features Spider-Man Noir.
and they never mention him.
Spider-Man Noir is in the movie. It's not the character he created, and they never gave him any credit for creating it in the credits. So you've now taken his character, done whatever the hell you want with him.
He's co-creator on Spider-Man Noir as well.
Right. Done whatever the hell you want with him. And then invited the guy to show him that you're not doing what he intended to do with his character. And you're not giving, like, that's what's happening, and that's where the problem is. And it's why I like what Michael said about the way
I get it.
When
you develop a character for DC or Marvel, it's not your character, it's theirs. And
it's also a very different business model. Absolutely.
Right.
I'm saying culturally speaking, I don't agree with it.
Right.
Hey, I'm right there with you guys. All I'm just saying is I was just trying to play devil's advocate.
Joe, I get it. You can tell us your deep, dark secrets. You can say you hate most people.
And so back to the original question.
I hate a lot of people, but
so then back to the original question, right? Like when I see an indie book go into development and get optioned for development, I recognize it might take 5, 10, 15 years for something to happen. But that's okay. That's the line in the sand I'm willing to draw.
Because you're not reading it for those 15 years. No, just kidding.
Right, and say, I will walk away from this thing until the whole of what's going to happen with it has happened. And a lot of times,
I gotta enjoy it, man.
And a lot of times, because it's creator owned, that creator will continue to put out work, and I will continue to support and buy the rest of their work. And then it's just a bigger library to enjoy later. Yeah. So it's the biggest problem I have is I have a friend who, as a comic book writer, sold something to Netflix, and they took their script that I was very excited to see as a part of an anthology series.
Ripped it apart and rewrote it, and made it something different,
and bastardized it to the point where it was almost unrecognizable.
Yep.
Like this was this guy's big break, and now it's nothing because it's nothing like what he has to publish. And so,
listen, that's a whole other thing.
Right, it's a way of protecting myself from getting angry at a thing I'm watching.
Netflix is
and letting me enjoy the thing,
though, because as opposed to how, let's say, Death Note and whatever the hell they tried to do with that, and a few other anime adaptations, especially with the One Piece adaptation, Oda, the creator, is actually in the room with the writers.
Yeah,
he's actually in the room. He was part of the casting process because it is his baby. There's even an American creator for the show Heartstopper that blew up over the last month. The creator was involved in the process from the very beginning. It stuck true to the comic. If some panels and some frames were even 1-to-1, and people loved every second of it. And those are successes. Those are some of Netflix's proper successes. Amazon has Invincible Invincible. Invincible is a strikingly strong adaptation, and it is very close to the source material. Now, do they, change certain things? But Robert Kirkman is involved with Amazon enough that he can make those decisions. He's like, let's update this because maybe this is something that I could do on the comic book or something I wasn't thinking of. He's involved in that process, and people know Robert Kirkman's name. They're following him. Now, Invincible is a great IP. The Walking Dead is a great IP. No matter how you feel about, what it's done, that's the story that Robert Kirkman wants to tell. He's involved in the processes. And I'm happy to see that the creator, something being creator owned, isn't just in the initial medium. There's now respect for the initial story going forward, because honestly, it sells. Yep. Give people money.
I agree, and there's 3 of us here that want your money. Give it to us, please. I will say this: the moral of the story, right, is we all have our own opinions. We all love different things, and we are all entitled to them, even if they differ from one another.
And there's no right way to consume this media.
Exactly. And I love it. Right. I love it. We are
right. I might tell you to your face you're wrong, Joey, but that isn't going to change anything.
No, it's not going to change. It's not going to change the way I like things. Right. Like you guys both believe I'm wrong in the way I'm talking right now about this thing, but it's not going to change the way I think. I'm still going to love it. I'm still going to be like, man, Cool. Have
Absolutely.
creative
Just
control.
spend a few weeks in my basement. We'll talk about a program, and then we'll release you to the wild. You'll see your kids again.
Okay, Ezra Miller.
Did you guys hear the joke? It was going around TikTok. The ultimate nerd quiz. Which Flash villain looks exactly like the Flash, but in a reverse twist does crimes?
Is it just Ezra Miller?
The answer is Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. Oh man!
Is it true though? I've only heard that taglines. I'm not actually seeing any articles. I haven't really been keeping up with that.
I don't know. I don't follow it.
I know a little bit about it because I was like, "What is this? This is crazy!" But I don't want to repeat it on here because it's not that kind of show.
It's not that kind of show,
right? Yeah, no. It's and that's the thing. Like that's the other thing about it, right? I stay away from all of that kind of news too. Like, I don't want to know because it'll just color my viewing of anything that happens, right?
I'm the type that tries to separate an actor and their personal life and who they are on camera. I just try to enjoy the performance, and then once I start hearing about so much stuff, it's then I start feeling weird about watching stuff. My voice cracked, but yeah, it's just the more I can separate that, the better. Though there are some people that are just so atrocious, where you're just like, all right, maybe this is a little bit uncouth to watch today, but I'll still watch The Ref every Christmas.
Right. The Thriller music video seems a little weird now, but it's still the Thriller music video.
It's a banger.
Right.
Oh man.
I feel like we're teetering towards something big.
I'm not even
No, we're gonna walk away from that now.
Oh man! All right,
ladies, we're not gonna say that.
We're not gonna show that either.
JD Smith timeout. JD Smith's going in a 5-minute timeout.
All right. Well, since we've been going on for a little while now, I think it's time
45 minutes.
Mustachio question with three folks with my shaved, but mustache elite here. Does anyone have a question, or should I go?
Ask away, sir.
What is on topic? What is the best adaptation of a book or comic book that you have ever seen?
Ooh, a book.
There is, and I'm gonna. It's not out yet, but I've seen it. Does that count, or does it have to be publicly available?
I mean, do people know of it?
I don't know.
Go for it.
There's an adaptation called 3 Days Rising coming out of Edgar Allan Poe's Fall of the House of Usher, starring Mickey Rourke and Ice-T.
Interesting.
That is absolutely phenomenal. Just a perfect adaptation.
Interesting.
It's not out yet. It's not out yet. It's a modernized telling, which is why those guys are in it. But sans that, I would say season 1 of American Gods.
Ooh, yeah. Joey, what you got?
I'm gonna say Civil War. No, just kidding.
Here, we could fix this.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know about a book. See, but that's the thing. I don't think that there was a very well adaptation to any books that I've read. You know what I mean? Like one that I could be proud of, be like, yes, they did so good. And that's why I'm like,
okay,
creative control.
Opposite end of the spectrum. Then what's the worst?
The worst?
Civil War.
Morbius.
Ooh, I forgot about Morbius. I changed my answer to Morbius.
If we're doing best and worst across the board, might be Morbius.
But it was a fun movie to watch. I will say it was a fun movie to watch.
But I feel like we should be giving Jared Leto just some tension tamer tea or something. Just
listen,
he needs a little CBD oil.
He has a whole cult of his own that does that stuff for him. He's fine.
Just I don't know, take a spa day and just go home. Have some chocolate chip cookies. I feel like you could eat a couple, just go for it. In terms of my worst adaptation, it's going to be the movie Aragon. Don't know
Ooh.
if you guys have ever read that book. Aragon was bad. You're going to choose John Malkovich to be your massive, angry king who's destroying the land. John Malkovich was your first choice? In
John
terms of
Malkovich is your first choice for everything.
JD Smith, yeah, I'm talking about books and comic books. Anything goes. For me, Aragon is going to be the worst. My favorite one is a toughie because now I want to say this, and I know no one knows of this because technically it was a play and it was just adapted to the screen, but it's called Night Mother, and it is. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
Oh, Night Mother released, I think, in like the early 90s, late 80s with Sissy Spacek and Anne Bancroft. And it's just those two juggernauts. And the daughter wants to end her life, and the mother's convincing her not to. And I remember sitting through this and just like, what is this? And I read the book and I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Crying, of course, crying every single day for a week, but that's what I needed.
Yeah, I think adapting plays to movies is a little bit easier because if you look at like The Iceman Cometh with Lee Marvin, like it's a really great just a direct adaptation of the play because it was everybody who was in the play on Broadway and they just shot it. Something we didn't
think about like mise en scène and like what you're showing, like the Macbeth adaptation that they just did,
right,
with Denzel Washington. Genius.
I heard it did really good. I haven't
the
seen
Scottish play. I refuse to say the name of it because I'm stupid like that. But something we didn't mention that I think is also should be up there is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Now it's it's a one movie adaptation of like 4 books.
Mos Def.
Mos Def is the best in that.
Dude, he's so good. He's so good. And I don't know if you guys know, when he got that role, he had tons of other roles that preceded. It was like he did so good those few years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And JD Smith says, no one said Lord of the Rings. Interesting. I can't say that I've read the books.
I've never seen the movies.
I've never
there
read
you
the
go.
books.
Joey, have you done both?
I've a little bit of the books, not enough to make a choice from that. No.
Yeah, so that's your answer, JD. I want to say that I could read, but I never learned how.
But I have heard from people who've read the books. It's great. It's great adaptation. So
that's why Harry Potter is not on my list. I've never done either. So
I'm not going to ever say Harry Potter. Harry Potter was an book and an even series of movies.
Well, I have less information than that. So it's like people always go, why don't you no?
I'm sorry. The system of magic relying on a wand seems like a crutch to me. But
by the time it came out, I was already reading Douglas Adams. So like, let's talk.
Let's
talk about proper British writers.
One last thing. I know we've got to go. We've been going for 15 minutes. This is the longest episode of this. But the Dresden Files show was one of the worst adaptations I had ever seen. Holy Maloney. That was bad. Now, some of the casting, like the guy they hired to play Dresden, actually wasn't bad. It was just everything else from credits to credits was just incorrect.
Wow.
But the Dresden Files are amazing books.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, folks. This has been another great episode of Mustache You, a Question. We've got Kyle, Joey, and me, Michael S. Sanchez, if you're great. And let's see you next time.